Well, this is my greenhouse. This is step two. Um, this here's for big spruce rabbitry because I guess all of us Fairbanks folks up here need to stick together. I do things a little closer to the conventional way, or at least I attempt it. So, second step of my gardening process. I bring all my plants from the cabin window, and I do transplant up from a small, tiny starter pods into the, I don't know, 4-inch pods, and slows them from getting root bound, but it happens so quick. But anyway, they stay in here until I need to get cucumbers into the cucumber beds. Now the cucumbers will stay in here throughout the remainder of the year, but this would be the second step in my process. As you see, I'm getting all my winter cold crops already in the ground, so those are almost completely done on the upper garden, and the lower garden is really just now drying up well enough to actually be worked. So I got to start hilling up my zucchini, which will be 2 rows over here, and I don't plant any other squash, just my zucchinis. And I always plant the black beauties. They seem to be the hardiest. My zucchinis, which was started in the cabin window, I got them hardening up out here right now. And yeah, I know, even though it's the end of May, beginning of June, I'll leave them in these bigger pots. I've been burned too many times. I'm 30 miles up the Elliott Highway at mile marker 14, and I get June frost. So I do put my low tunnels in. So I have my plastic rolls ready, and when I see the temperatures dropping, I just take all this concrete reinforcement mesh and I hoop it up over my rows, and I string my plastic clear along the edge of the row. And that seems to keep them warm enough. But that is my process. Now, having a greenhouse without a wooden floor doesn't keep this place as warm as what it needs. So I do use a propane heater in the beginning, as soon as I transfer them out here for the evenings. Usually the days are long enough that I don't go through a whole lot of propane. I seal the sides down with, wood from the wood pile. But that is my start process. Okay, so I'm back. So peas up here can go in the ground pretty early, but still you got to have the temperatures started so that the ground can warm enough. But these are my broccoli, Brussels sprout, and cabbage plants. They started out in the cabin window, went to the greenhouse, and yesterday and today, since I had my garden soil already turned, compost put in it, fertilized, I was just waiting for them to start getting root bound and for the temperatures to start hitting 70s. So these can actually withstand quite a bit of frost, actually. I'll still harvest these things after it's been frosting for a full 15-20 days in September and October. My cabbages, of course, I do a couple of the OS crosses that get really huge, but I'd rather eat the flat Dutch. They're a little tighter cabbage. there's less waste. Those great big ones, there's a lot of waste. And then, you know, I have my leaf vegetables down here, my carrots, my onions, Napa cabbage, turnips that my wife makes kimchi greens out of. Just a quick walk through the garden. Over here I have a starter garden, but I have spinach, and since spinach loves the cold weather and lots of water, they do all right in this area, because the first year you crack the ground up here, you're dealing with a lot of permafrost. Here I have raised bed onions. They would probably be doing better if they weren't raised beds. They just dry out really bad. And in the hotter months, I have a hard time getting enough water out here. But I do a whole row of onions over there anyway, so those will start coming on. My wife will end up making kimchi out of that. Now down here I have leaf lettuce right here, and then I got 2 more plots of spinach, because I really only get one good spinach harvest because it just gets too dry and too hot and it starts bolting. Now here, this was a little experiment that I was doing, and these are black currants. They grow wild up here, so I started just digging starts and bringing them in here, and now I got an entire black currant bed. Personally, I don't like the flavor of them very much, but I mix them in. They're supposed to be super high in antioxidants, and they're supposed to be really good for you. My raspberries aren't coming back really well this year, and I'm just wondering if maybe the soil's getting a little too acidic or a little too sweet. I don't. Maybe they're too close to the black currants. I still have another patch down the hill. I brought in some wild blueberries here, and I planted them up here. And then my son bought me this big tame blueberry plant. I didn't think it was going to come through from the last winter because you know, it was very cold. We had a solid 2.5 months of -30 or colder out here. I'm thinking that maybe since we had so much snow, I guarantee we had at least 85 inches of snow last winter. Maybe that's what saved it. But we started just cutting our onions as opposed to pulling the entire onion. So they come back year after year, and what they do is they give us our actual onion seed pods at the top. We'll let them mature, and we'll cut the seed pod off, we'll dry them, and I got seeds again for next year. And the bonus about these onions that I have here that my wife got from over in Korea is that I plant them in the fall and they start growing up, and then the snow falls, the ground freezes, spring comes, and we just go back at it again. They start growing again, so they winter over really well. It's the only onion I've found that does it, but does it pretty well. Pretty happy with them. But anyway, that's my gardens. That's my process. That's what I grow. Thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.